Francisco Rivero. Twitter streets are saying Chop looking nice. Yes, Chop looks good. Chop is raw. Okay. Chop Robinson is a guy that brings a world of gifts. The Lord blessed him, like the Lord blesses everybody with some gift. You just got to kind of figure out what your gift is, right? That's kind of what we're all here in this world. We all got to kind of find our niche, and Chop certainly has a niche, and he is a fantastic football player. He is also raw, and it reminds me a lot of Jason Taylor to a certain extent, where there's a boatload of energy, a world of athleticism, explosion off the line, but not necessarily a ton of moves yet. And so that's where Jason Taylor had to learn moves to get off of the tackles, to keep his distance from tackles, and he also could not stop the run. And that was, the first couple of years, it was run at Jason Taylor because he was light on the shorts. So I see a lot of those same growth issues with Chop Robinson so far. I don't see second, third, fourth moves. I don't see you being master ip. Okay. And so I gotta see master ip. I got to see part one and part two and part three and part four. I got to see what happens when you run into the big long tackle, the big fat tackle. You got to run into the athletic tackle. And I want to see how you handle all these different cats. And I want to see how frustrated you get when they start, stopping you because they know much more than you do, and they're just laughing at you like a Teron Armstead. Like, hey, youngin, you haven't even learned anything yet. And you're just lost in the shuffle in front of me. I see a lot of that. So let me bring you down a little bit to reality where Chop Robinson is. Is he a beautiful talent? Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. For sure, he's a thoroughbred. Now, it's a thoroughbred that still hasn't really learned how to run the race. And that's kind of where we're at right now. And it took Jason Taylor a couple of years to learn how to run the race. And that's kind of where I'm seeing with Chop Robinson right now. I'm seeing what they saw: explosion, talent, potential, coal, not a diamond yet. And so that's kind of where we're at right now with Chop. So to sit there and expect right now, it's kind of early for that. Let's see, because I haven't seen enough yet to say, oh yeah, no, this guy's a much more polished pass rusher. He's got a spin move. He knows how to keep his distance. He knows how to stop the run. He knows how to shake off the tackle so he can, get to the running back. I haven't seen any of that yet. So let's relax. That first step, whoo, whoo, scary. Scary for even veteran tackles have to be prepared for the first step because after you get them with that first step, you got them. And they're gonna know that. And once they know that, then the game the game is over. So let's give Chop some time to grow. Let's give him some time to learn from some of the veterans around him. But let's not try to rush the process. The media has to write. I've been in the media for 34 years. Okay, they got to write something. They got to talk something up, but they love talking you up and they love breaking you down. And so they love to build up an expectation that's an unrealistic one. And then when the player doesn't meet the unrealistic expectation set, they blame the player for the unrealistic expectation set. They don't take they don't rewrite and say, or on the radio or on podcasts and say, this is my fault. I put too much expectation on a young player and he didn't meet it. So it's my, folks, I misled you. They don't tell you that. They just tell you, no, he's not meeting my expectations. Well, bust. Right. Like, seriously. Pat Surtain couldn't make the field the first year. But, you forget that because you have no perspective and you don't remember that or you weren't around. Every player doesn't come out of the box like Zach Thomas, okay? Some guys are just a gift, and they're freaks, and then some of them, it takes them a little bit to get there. Just like all of you out there, you start a business and you lose money the first couple of years until you figure it out and you start to make money. Same thing, just a different thing. It's just you're a businessman and this person's a baseball player, a football player, a basketball player. Is Duncan Robinson the player now that we saw at the beginning in summer league? No. We saw a kid that had some shooting ability, and then he turned himself into a hell of a shooter, and then we figured out that's all he was a hell of a shooter. He couldn't do anything else. And then he went back to the drawing board, and he started working on everything else, and now go look at Duncan Robinson. Sometimes you're Magic Johnson, sometimes you just come right out of the womb, and you're just magic. It happens. I totally understand those people. You're Justin Jefferson, whatever it is. You're that guy. You're that woman. But for the rest of us, most of us, it takes us a little time to be good and great and fantastic. You know? Gotta build up. You're not the same father and mother when the kid's born. Hopefully you're a little bit better as the months go on, as the years go on, you kind of maybe can you the second kid, the third kid, you get a little better. You kind of anticipate. You got that Tua instinct. You got the anticipatory skills now. Oh yeah, yeah. You remember the first one when this happened? So, everything in life, man, you got to grow into it. But every once in a while you find your freak. There's just some of us that are gifted and, they can do things a little faster than the rest of us. So we gotta have some patience with Chop. But I do love what I see. I also love what I see from Kamara, by the way, the 5th round pick. I like what I see from him. I I actually think he has more in his toolbox right now than Chop. And I think we had this conversation. Remember, I told you, you remember it now, right? I told you that because Kamara is the smaller guy, the underrated guy, the guy that it doesn't look athletically like the other guy, he had to work harder to get to where he's at. He had to prove more doubters than Chop has. And so Alvin has a little bit more to his game. Yeah. No, it's not Alvin. It's uh, uh Mohammed Kamara. But, Mohammed has more polish to his game, okay? I will tell you that's what I've seen. If you want me to measure the 2, I got a little bit more polish from Mohammed Kamara than I do from Chop Robinson.